What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. It's time, once again, for another episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship. Today, at the request of Mr. Josh King, in episode 2 of A Simple Job, we're cracking open our copy of Inner Sea Gods to talk about the man himself, the man, the myth, the mystery, as Josh pronounces him, Norgorber. Let's talk about Norgorber. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, ding that bell so you get all of your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content here first. And remember, Patron Requests get to jump to the front of the line. And if you have requests in the comments is where they go. Today, this episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship was brought to you in part by the man who requested it, one of my very best friends, high-tier patron, the man who taught me how to Pathfinder, at least in his own way, Mr. Josh King, the man who we looked at funny for role-playing characters when none of us were, and now look how far I've gone. Hey, anywho, Josh, thank you so much for your support, your inspiration, all of the above. You the man! Now, let's dive in. Okay, so I've spent quite a bit of time trying to find a real-world equivalent for Norgorber. Frankly, I'm not very confident that any such equivalent exists. At first I thought Loki, maybe some of the gods of night or death, something like that. No, I don't think any of them do Norgorber the justice Norgorber deserves. Rather, I believe Norgorber is more in much the same way that Zon-Kuthon is someone's love letter to the Hellraiser series. Oh yeah, follow this card right here, by the way, if you don't know what Hellraiser or Zon-Kuthon is.
We have such sights to show you.
But in that same vein, I believe Norgorber is more of a love letter to something like, say, Assassin's Creed, Ninja Gaiden, the Tenchu series. Remember those? Yeah, I had a PS1. I was cool. Basically, all those assassination games that we've played in our times, yeah, that's Norgorber. Norgorber is literally Golarian's best hired killer, a trained assassin, and one of the Ascended, which of course means Norgorber is one of the mortals who passed the test of the Starstone to achieve their divinity. Very little is known of Norgorber's life as a mortal because truly, Norgorber has taken great pains to conceal it so others can't use it against him. He has wiped knowledge of his past, even from the memories of the other gods, becoming truly an enigma to everyone. Only his most favored worshippers know enough about his goals to help bring those plans to fruition. Sometimes he'll even go as far as to wipe the knowledge from their minds when their tasks are done to better preserve those secrets. Some believe that if Norgorber's true nature were discovered, he'd be undone, perhaps as a side effect of his passing the test of the Starstone, perhaps as a fallout for some sacrifice he made. Either way, there you go, guys. That's how you kill him. Use that information wisely, and don't tell him that I told you or he'll... Wait, what were we talking about? Anywho, Norgorber is most often represented only by his holy symbol, that being, of course, a featureless black mask, often polished to a mirror sheen. Some artists will evoke his presence with a black mask-like badge or an empty black glove, and worshippers have in fact been known to nail a black glove to a door as a warning to somebody who's offended the cult, or, that "we know" a la the Elder Scrolls. Those who try to paint or sculpt Norgorber as a recognizable figure, even if that image is purely from imagination and not based on anything at all, oftentimes will find their hands fumbling and their work increasingly erratic. If they persist, oftentimes fine motor control is permanently afflicted. Wiser priests of the church say that this is because if the god blotted out only accurate depictions of him, mortals could deduce his true appearance by determining what they are not allowed to paint, process of elimination, right? When he does manifest to mortals, he appears to be a normal human dressed in brown and black of average height and build, always with his face concealed. Norgorber also is a very interesting deity in and of the fact that Norgorber has not one, not two, not three, but 4 different aspects. This is even further represented in the Pathfinder playtest. Norgorber is neutral evil and allows lawful evil, neutral evil, and chaotic evil worshippers, but neutral worshippers if you're following one of the 4 of Norgorber's aspects. That aspect being, of course, the Reaper of Reputation. This is the least malevolent aspect of Norgorber, and it's concerned with guarding hidden information, which makes him a favorite of politicians and spies and stuff. And, that also makes Norgorber very appealing across very different playstyles. In addition, Blackfingers, his alchemist and poisoner aspect, is used to represent an unethical experimentation for the sake of knowledge and the harmful use of alchemy. Father Skinsaw will tell you to use a really crappy weapon called a War Razor and get wrecked by a really cool Rune Lord's party. Am I right, guys? Anywho, that's a totally different story. Father Skinsaw, of course, is the most dangerous branch of the church, the Skinsaw cult, because the cult attracts only sociopaths and the dangerously insane to, go out a serial killing. And the thieving aspect, the Grey Master, works not unlike how a predator hunts the weakest animal in a herd, targeting the most vulnerable citizens. This usually falling towards the aspect of the thieves and the pickpockets and stuff. Anywho, down to the character sheet stuff. Norgorber in Legacy Pathfinder is neutral evil. His domains are charm, death, evil, knowledge, and trickery, with the subdomains captivation, daemon, deception, espionage, both knowledge and trickery, greed, memory, murder, shadow death, thievery, and thought. Norgorber's favored weapon is the short sword, and his symbol, a one-eyed mask. To perform Norgorber's deific obedience, whilst moving through a crowd of people, at least 6, whisper a prayer to Norgorber so quietly that no one hears you. If you suspect a member of the crowd to hear you, you must follow that individual and prick her with a poison needle or other sharp implement. If you can't locate a crowd like this, dig a hole at least 6 inches deep in the ground, whisper your prayers into the hole, and bury the sound. At the end of your obedience, dip a needle in poison and leave it on the road, jutting from a windowsill or anywhere where somebody might accidentally, stab themselves. In return, it's a +3 profane bonus on bluff checks and on diplomacy checks to gather information. Evangelist boons. It's comprehend languages thrice a day, detect thoughts twice a day, or clairaudience clairvoyance once a day. At 16th level as a full round action, you can combine a vial of poison with a thrown alchemist bomb. The bomb deals normal direct hit and splash damage, plus the target of the direct hit must successfully save or suffer the effects of the poison. Only contact and injury poisons can be used this way. Creatures hit by the bomb's splash are unaffected. If you don't have the bomb class feature, this boon instead functions the same as poison expertise. The second divine boon for Sentinels of Norgorber. Get there in a second, won't we? 20th level. Once per day, you can use greater invisibility on yourself as a spell-like ability. When you use this slaw, you gain certain gifts from Norgorber in addition to the effects, namely, a +4 profane bonus on perception checks while invisible, a +2 profane bonus on attack rolls made with thrown weapons, ranged weapons, and short swords while invisible. These bonuses apply only when you're using the slaw, not when you're invisible in some other way, shape, or form. In addition, the invisibility lasts for a minute a level, like, regular invisibility, instead of the normal round per exalted boons. It's command thrice a day, distressing tone twice a day, or suggestion once a day. At 16th level, you know the best techniques for storing and applying poisons. Your knowledge of the proper methods of handling and applying poisons grants them additional potency. The saving throw DC of any poison you use increases by 2. Nice. This effect applies only to poisons you administer directly, including applying them to weapons. Giving the weapon to another person reduces the poison's efficacy back to normal, as the weapon's new owner does not have your skill at storing and using the poisoned item. And at 20th level, once per day, you can summon a Piscadaemon. It follows your commands. If you're super bad, it'll attack you, and by super bad, I mean super not evil. I never really liked those. But Masterful Poisoner is at least playable. I'm actually building a Drow Inquisitor, worshipping the Spider Queen herself from 3.5. And Norgorber kind of looks a little better than Mazmaz the Demon Lord does now. Thoughts. Anywho, Sentinel boons. It's Poisoned Egg thrice a day, Delay Poison twice a day, or Poison once a day. At 16th level, long practice has taught you how to deftly apply poison during combat, letting you apply poison to a weapon or a single piece of ammunition as a move action. You never risk exposing yourself to the poison, whether that be in the application or rolling a nat 1. And remember, this is what we get if we're not an alchemist, but we go evangelist. And at 20th level, once per day you can make a death strike with a melee weapon. You must declare your use of this ability before you roll, You get a +4 bonus on your attack and deal an extra d6 points of damage for every 4 hit dice you possess, so more sneak attack for your sneak attack. A maximum, of course, of 5d6. If your death strike reduces the target to negative hit points but doesn't kill it outright, the target immediately drops to a negative hit point total equal to its con score minus 1. 1 point away from death. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. I definitely would take the diverse obedience route with this to mix and match a little. Not sure what spells I'd take, but I'll take a +2 to my poisons from Exalted and then more sneak attack for my sneak attack with Death Strike from the Sentinel. Yeah, sure, I can dig it. Now, normally we don't talk about these because they're not always the best in the world. I am, however, gonna highlight some feats today because Norgorber's Divine Fighting technique is actually pretty good. Its initial benefit, and remember, if you're a neutral evil rogue of at least 2nd level and you worship Norgorber, you can replace a rogue talent with this. When you attack an opponent that is completely unaware of your presence, your attack deals damage as if you were one size category larger. This benefit applies only to the first attack that you make against the target, and only with attacks made with light or one-handed weapons intended for creatures of your size, so yeah, no, that could be a 2d6 from your bastard sword. Anywho, this upgrades at Stealth 10 ranks to, at the start of each round, choose one opponent that you can see and attempt a stealth check as a swift action. If the result of your check exceeds the target's CMD, treat the target as if it were completely unaware of your presence for the purpose of, hitting as if you were one size larger. If you beat it by 5 or more, you also treat it as being completely unaware of you for the purpose of all class features and feats you have. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I have built a rogue, and that rogue may drift a little over to Norgorber. Yeah, that's a thing. Those are very useful, especially if you want like a D6 Kukri or Drow Razor or something like that. Not to mention like a pseudo hide in plain sight eventually for when you don't have your hide in plain sight or don't necessarily want to go into Shadow Dancer or take Hellcat stealth. Just quickly swift action with your amazingly high stealth, which probably beats a lot of CMDs, and then stab in. Anywho, Norgorber is neutral evil. Norgorber is passing out an anti-paladin code. It goes as such. Innocence is ignorance, and ignorance is weakness. I will seek to shed my own ignorance and encourage ignorance in my enemies. I do not take credit, nor do I accept blame. I work always in the shadows. A fair fight is not worth fighting. I will take every advantage I can. No tool is beneath me. Cold eyes, cold heart. My enemies can expect no mercy from me. Everyone is expendable, and I will sacrifice them all as necessary. Each life I take shapes the future to my Lord's desires, and if you're shaping those futures, as of planar adventures, Norgorber might pass out a divine gift. How about a permanent +1 untyped bonus to Dex? Are we cool with that? I'm definitely cool with that. So Norgorber actually, in addition to being a deity who obviously is very open-ended, because, backstory 100% obfuscated, you could do whatever you want, and I'm sure many GMs have over the course of countless campaigns, also again fills that assassin niche pretty well. I definitely am very much considering moving my Inquisitor around a little from Worship of Lolth to Worship of Norgorber. I'll need to talk to my GM, certainly, for sure, but there's a lot of stuff that's just really powerful here, both in terms of, again, the divine fighting technique and those obediences. Poison is a hard thing to optimize. It can certainly be done. Looking at you, Vishkanya alchemists, Norgorber's deific obedience definitely goes a long way to help that. If I were to GM for a follower of Norgorber, actually, I posted this on my Twitter a little while ago. Quick hot take on campaigns and stuff. If I were to GM for a follower of Norgorber, I'd much sooner GM for 4 or 5. I don't know, like a whole party. We'll level at checkpoints, at missions, sort of like the standard for intrigue style games. Everyone is required to play a rogue or a ninja, some kind of non-caster, full sneak attack, something or other. Sorry, the sectionists. But the spellcasting tips the meta a little. All the encounters will benchmark at CR like +4, +5. Really, really, really difficult. If you get caught in the open, you're dead. But if you resolve a sneak attack against something that's totally unaware of you, just a flat, it's dead, no save, it died. In combat, sneak attack does no damage, but every time you would resolve a sneak attack, it's instead resolved as a death effect, say like 10 plus half your hit dice plus dexterity, and then +2 for every sneak attack dice you would add. And suddenly we're the Dark Brotherhood, or we are Assassin's Creed, or anything in between, which is really the spirit that Norgorber is trying to fill, and honestly, that playstyle sounds really fun to me. What do you guys think? Have we worshipped Norgorber? Have we used him in our campaigns? And how do you feel about an all-rogue, very stealth, sneaky game? Let me know in the comments. As always, conversation will be kept going. And thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. That's all we have time for today. Remember to like and subscribe and ding that bell for all of your sweet Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content. One more patron request coming down next week, and it's another core deity. We've almost finally got through all of them, you know. Next week, it's Lamashtu. See you then.